Love Bugs. I'm Ravinia, but you can call me Ravi, and I'm a full-time voice actress and content creator across all the platforms, but streaming is my primary love, my primary joy. And since it is the primary content that I make, I get a lot of questions about streaming. Now, I have 5 questions that I want to share with you all today that I want you to ask yourself if you are looking to become a streamer, or even if you have been a streamer for a really long time. I use these questions as a way to kind of bring me back to center. If I'm questioning changing something about my content or about doing some sort of event, I always kind of go back to these questions to remind me of like why I'm doing what I'm doing, what it is that I want to be doing, and it just kind of helps me stay centered in my content. Now, this isn't a video on how to grow quick. This isn't a video on how to become a big streamer, though there are tons of videos and things out there. Why I wanted to make this video is because I think that it's important for anybody who's looking to get into content creation to really ask themselves these 5 questions to build themselves a good foundation for whatever it is that you decide to build on top. There are tons of different types of streamers out there, and I'm not just talking about the different categories that you can stream in. I'm talking about what you're looking to get out of streaming. And I think that a lot of people get mixed up in the hustle of trying to be a streamer and the hustle of numbers and money and forget why they wanted to be a streamer in the first place. So I've witnessed way more people burn out and not be successful because they completely forgot why they got into this in the first place. So let's start with that very first important question. Why do you want to stream? And I want honest answers here. You don't need to share these answers with anybody else. They can just be for yourself. Now, I ask this question of literally anybody that comes to me looking for streaming advice, whether they're a brand new streamer who's never streamed before, someone who streamed for a while and quit and is trying to come back, or who has been streaming and is maybe in like a rut. I'm always just like, why do you stream? Why do you want to stream? And very often I get the answer of, oh, well, I just want to build a really nice community. Bull. I want y'all to answer these questions authentically and truly. If the answer is, I really just want to build a community, that's it. I want to have my own little community and these are our morals and I want us to thrive together, then that's great. If that's truly why you're streaming, then if you get 10 people watching you and you have 10 people coming to hang out with you all the time, guess what? That's a community. But if you're looking at your numbers after you build your community of 10 people and you go, oh, well, but like this isn't paying my bills. Well, then you're not being honest about why you're streaming. I think that people have a hard time answering that question honestly. And I'll let you know what mine is just to give you an example. At the end of the day, the core reason as to why I do what I do, I want to be a voice actress for indie video games. If the reason that you want to stream is because you want to quit your job and be able to go full-time with content creation, your journey is going to be a lot different than mine. Just like it's going to be different from somebody else who wants to stream just because they love this particular game. Let's use Dead by Daylight as an example. It's a great example. They love Dead by Daylight and they want to always have lots of different people to play Dead by Daylight with, and they want to make just enough money that all of their DLCs and cosmetics are paid for. That is a very realistic streaming dream, that you could become a Dead by Daylight creator and make just enough money from subscriptions and whatever else you get from your community to be able to pay for your DLC and always have friends to play with every single time you stream. But sometimes I think that people get so wrapped up in the hustle or wrapped up in all the other social medias and things that they have to do that they get so overwhelmed that then they lose sight of what the whole reason is that they're doing the whole thing. If they're like, well, I want to be a streamer, which means I need to run these 6 different social medias, which means I need to be putting out short form content, which means I have to be on TikTok. Not necessarily. You absolutely do not have to do all that work. And you shouldn't be shamed for not wanting to, because there's all different kinds of streamers. So you need to decide what you are doing streaming for so that you can make that path and that journey for yourself. Which leads right into question number 2. What kind of community do you want to build? And I'm not talking just like entertainment metrics, though that can absolutely be part of it. I'm more talking about what kind of a feel of a community do you want to build, because it's really hard to not just be excited to have everybody that walks into your stream stay. You want to keep as many people as possible staying and watching your stream, obviously, is particularly if you're someone who's looking to grow to do this as an actual career. So one of the hardest things to do is to sometimes ignore someone or uninvite them from your space because they don't match with the kind of community that you want to build. And I think that's one of the hardest things to do. I know so many content creators who have people in their communities that just drive them nuts. Why would you keep inviting someone to your space who's constantly cruel to you or is constantly disappointed that you're not playing what they want you to be playing? I'm going to share a story really quick. And I wish that I had asked myself this question when I first became a streamer, because I knew I wanted to be a variety streamer, but I mostly played Dead by Daylight when I first started. And one day, one of my community members who was there for every stream asked me if I would play Fortnite with them. And I played Fortnite like crazy before I was a streamer, but I don't really play it as a streamer. And I was like, sure. So for one day, one stream, I played Fortnite. Now, there was another community member that had already been a red flag for me. I had just kind of let them keep hanging on, but they were really toxic and often talked down to me and were condescending, and in slight ways, of course, but also nice in other ways. And I decided to play Fortnite, and that person came into my stream and absolutely ripped me a new one. They called me all kinds of names. They said I was selling out, that I don't actually care about the fans or care about the Dead by Daylight community, that I just wanted money, even though I was being watched, I think, by 6 people, 6 people that day. But it just really showed me how unimportant it is to coddle and change your content for people who want to control your content. You are the only person who should have any control over your content. You are the only person who should have any control over what kind of community that you're building. And if there are people coming into your community who are trying to change what you want it to be, you need to be strong enough to uninvite them, ask them to leave, ban them, time them out, and move on. I am so happy to say that now that I have uninvited people from my community who were toxic and cruel or negative and nasty, or who did things that made people in my community feel unsafe, that my community is stronger than ever. And come on, communities, we fight like families sometimes, right? Like nobody's ever perfect, and sometimes you do have to have tough discussions with people. It doesn't mean always necessarily uninviting them, but it might mean having a difficult discussion so that everybody feels comfortable. And though that's one of the hardest things that you can do. But if you go back to what kind of community do I want to have, and you look at that situation, it's almost always going to tell you how to handle that situation, which is why I think it's so important to come back to that question. Which also leads me to probably the most important question, which is, what are your boundaries? If you were to only ask yourself one question before you started streaming, I would say that it's this one. And your boundaries are going to change as you learn more about yourself and yourself as a content creator, and about the communities that you're involved in. But you need to set yourself some boundaries, and then you need to stick to them and enforce them. And boundaries are going to be different for everybody. A really good example of a boundary that I'm really uncomfortable with is when people self-promote in my channel. When people are casually self-promoting and they always are just coming to my stream to talk about their stream, I feel like they're just there to use me. I've had some really bad past experiences with it when I used to be super open to people talking about it in my streams. And now I've nipped the butt about it, and I ask people very specifically to please not do it. I have it written right in my rules, and if they do it consistently, I reach out to them personally and ask them to please stop, because it makes me super uncomfortable. I just really got burned by some people who pretended to be my friends and then turned out to not actually be my friends, and that was a new boundary that I had to set for myself, and now I enforce it, and I enforce it strongly. Some people are totally fine with people just coming into their chat and being like, hey, I'm about to get on stream, but I wanted to say hi first. I think that's rude. And that's my boundary. It can be somebody else's, can be different, and that's totally fine. And that's where you need to make those choices. You need to set boundaries about, like, are you going to let people know where you live? Are you going to let them know your state? Are you going to let them know your city? Are you going to let them know where you work? I mean, I would suggest not those things, but everybody has different boundaries. Personally, I'm a military wife, so I kind of keep some of that stuff hidden, but everybody knows what state I'm in, and I have a PO box in the state, and that's kind of like the line that I'm okay with. But it just depends. You've got to decide on those things for yourself. How private are you going to keep your personal life, and how public are you going to keep your life? Some streamers are completely public about it all. You might be streaming, be a just chatting streamer, and you're totally open using your real name, using your real identity. Maybe you're not even comfortable showing your face, and that's a boundary that you need to set for yourself. I'm never going to show my face, and I'm going to be a PNG tuber or something like that instead. All of those things are valid, but they're boundaries that you need to sit down and really think about. At what point do I ban someone in my channel because they've completely crossed a boundary? At what point is it a discussion? What things in my channel are absolute no-goes and what things in my channel are maybe gray areas and we can have a discussion? Those are really important things that you need to ask yourself, and make sure that if there is anything that really, really bothers you, that you enforce it on day one, because you have a right to. It's your space. And I promise you, there are plenty of people out there who feel the way that you do, that you can build a good community. There just are. There is no reason to hang on to people because you're desperate for views who do not match your personal morals, who do not match the space that you're trying to create. There's no reason for it. You will find your people if you are authentic about who you are. I promise you. Which leads into the next question. How will you protect your mental health? Now, part of this question is generally answered by answering the other questions, reminding yourself why you're here, making sure that you are nurturing a community that you actually want to build, making sure that you set your boundaries and you protect your boundaries and you enforce your boundaries. Now, again, this can be answered in a lot of different ways. Some people get really obsessive with numbers, right? They get really obsessive with view count, with numbers and whatnot. And looking at that daily can be really, really draining, particularly because you're seeing those daily ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. And it's really hard sometimes on your mental health to celebrate the ups if you have a whole bunch of downs. So what some people will do to protect their mental health, for example, is only look at their numbers every month. They just look at their numbers at the end of the month. They look at everything they had planned for that month. They look at their numbers at the end of the month and they go, okay, I did all the work I possibly could have done. I made great content. I did all the things that I could do, and this is what I was rewarded with. We can't control our viewer number. There are ways to influence it. There's ways to influence yourself getting new followers. You absolutely will notice differences if you're consistently posting across multiple socials with how things are growing, but that is a lot of work. And if you can't do it, or if you do it really hard for 2 months and see no results and it feels like it's beating you down into the ground, then you might have to take a step away from either doing so much work, maybe decide I'm going to let this social suffer for a while so I can just hard focus this one. There's all different kinds of ways that you can do it. And this isn't a question that should only be answered when you first get started. This is a question I think you should constantly be asking yourself every month. What am I doing to protect my mental health? And if you're getting really depressed because you're not seeing your numbers go up the way that you want them to, or you haven't had a video that popped off in a while, or maybe the last few times that you streamed, you only had 10 people or something like that, you need to say, how am I going to protect my mental health around this? And whether it's like turning off your viewer count, or maybe as extreme as I'm going to get into therapy and make sure that I'm getting help from a therapist to help me not feel that way about my viewer count, to remind me that if 10 people just immediately show up when I hit go live, that's freaking amazing. That's like asking your friends to come to a party and 10 people show up like as soon as the door opens. Like, that would feel really great. So I really want to make sure that you're always double checking your mental health and that you're always checking in with yourself. If streaming is making you depressed, if it is making you constantly stressed, if it's not bringing you joy, then why are you doing it anymore? And you need to return back to those original questions. If you're not taking care of yourself mentally, you absolutely will not be able to do the work that it takes to nurture a community. And all those questions come together for question number 5. How do you want streaming to better your life? Because no matter what you're doing in life, hopefully you're doing it for the betterment of your dreams, for the life that you want to live, for whatever it is, for joy. We should be working for joy. I think we get wrapped up in working for money or working for fame or working for likes. At the end of the day, you should be working for joy. Why are you streaming if it's not bringing you joy? And if it's not bringing you joy, and it used to, why isn't it? If we go back to those questions about why you're streaming and what you want to accomplish in the community that you want to build, are you checking all of those boxes? Because I'm going to guess if you're not enjoying what you're doing anymore, that you're not working towards making any of those things happen. Now, just like all the other questions, this answer to this question is going to be so different for every single person, depending on what you're using streaming for. Because again, there's no wrong reason to want to be a streamer, really. And it can be as big as you want to be as big as Ninja, and that's your aspiration and you want to do this. I'd still ask, well, why? Like, why do you look at that and think that's what I want? What about it is appealing? Is it that you want to entertain people? Is it that you want to be wealthy? All of those things are possible answers, but you need to be honest with yourself about why. Well, the same thing comes down to bringing you joy. You might be wanting to get joy out of streaming because you want to be a figurehead to a community. You want to feel like you have influence. You want to go to big shows, or it might be much smaller. You might want to better your life through streaming by just learning how to talk in front of a crowd. Maybe you're kind of shy and you think that streaming is going to open you up by forcing you to interact and keep a schedule every week, even if you only stream once a week, but forcing you to have to talk to people in a chat, forcing you to have to use your voice and actually communicate with people. That's also an excellent reason to become a streamer. And they're very different journeys. They're very different walks, but they're all good reasons to stream. However, at the end of the day, if streaming isn't bringing you any joy, you need to refocus. You need to come back to your core and to those starter questions and be like, okay, well, why am I doing this? What am I building the community that I want to be building? Am I protecting my mental health? Have I set boundaries? Have I been enforcing those boundaries? And if you are doing all of those things and your progression is just going slow, well, then that's another video for another day about managing your time and where to put your energy of the time that you have. But if you're doing those things correctly, then you should be finding joy. Or maybe you didn't answer that very first question as honestly as you thought you did. So anyway, there's a lot of really great questions out there to ask yourself about content creation, but I do feel like this is a really great way to start a foundation. If you can build a strong foundation as a content creator, it will help you from burning out. It will help you to surround yourself by people that you love. It will help you to keep making content that you actually enjoy and would watch yourself. I know way more creators that have burned out than I know who are still creators today. And a lot of them were even way more successful to me and checked way more boxes in like the success page of their resume than I have ever done. But I think that the reason that I've been able to stay so consistent over the last 5 years that I've been doing this, even though I'm not some huge exploded creator, no, I'm not making full-time pay for what I do, I'm still here and enjoying and loving what I'm doing because I have set this foundation for myself, because I don't let people step over my boundaries. I do talk to them and I do protect myself and my community with that space, because I create a community that I actually believe in with people that I actually like and enjoy talking to and seeing every day. I don't see anyone in my chat and then think, oh God, this person's here today. I don't feel that about anyone. And if I start to feel that way about someone, I ask myself why, and then I discuss it with them, because there must be doing something that is stepping on my boundaries. And this isn't to say that I'm absolutely perfect and I haven't had moments where I wanted to quit and throw it all away. Of course I have. That's why I have a therapist. But at the end of the day, I haven't quit because my foundation was already so strong that even every once in a while when maybe I have to rearrange the furniture or knock down a wall and rebuild it again, I'm never starting truly from scratch again, because my foundation of the people that I have found is so wonderful. And the kind of community that we have built is exactly what I want, that it will allow me, whatever direction I end up going, whatever type of game, wherever this journey leads me, I'm always going to feel good about where I started. So I just highly recommend that you try out this video. And for more tips and tricks, I hope to be posting more soon. If you have any questions, please post them down in the comments, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to hang out with a really awesome community of people who we play right now a lot of Palia, come hang out at twitch.tv/Ravinia. I love you. Bye.